Joe Leigh here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Tony SIMS. Good to see you again. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good. Now, obviously, we're here for Joe Cordina versus Kenichi Ogawa, which is happening next week. But obviously, most recently in the gym, we had Craig Richards, Joshua Beats Ussyk, obviously head coach Peter SIMS, but heavily involved in that fight. And a few days on, what are your reflections on that fight, Tony?
Yeah, I was just saying to Craig, it was a great fight, and I think a lot of people would like to see the return fight. I felt like it was a tale of two halves, and Buatsi chalked up them early rounds with combination punching, and then Craig come on stronger in the later rounds. But it was a great fight for the fans, and as I say, it'd be a great rematch.
Is that something that you've spoken to Craig wants now or definitely soon in the future?
Well, obviously, Craig would take it now because obviously he never got the decision, but Buatsi's probably going to go on to fight for a world title, but if he wins a world title, then it'd be a great return, and if he don't win the world title, it'll be a great return because the domestic fights like that are always what the fans want to see.
How did you score it?
I scored it probably as the judges scored it. I just give it to Buatsi, but I felt like he chalked up the early rounds. That's what I was saying to Craig. It was a bit frustrating, really, because I think if he'd have chalked up a few more early rounds, he probably would have got the decision. But I think like where he got them early rounds, Buatsi had already took a lead, and then it was all the fight back for Craig. But if there was another 2 rounds in the fight, Craig would have probably come on strong, So, lessons that you got to learn from, your last fight, you got to take into your next fight. There's a few little things there I was just talking to him about that he needs to pick up on for his next fight. And, if he goes into the return, then he'll know what he needs to do.
There's a lot of fights Craig's have had now that they've been close and he hasn't come away with the victory. What do you think he needs to do going into big fights? Because he always is in big fights. He's never been afraid of big fights and he'll continue to be so.
Yeah, I was just saying to him little small things that he needs to pick up on, and you learn these when you fight the top level fighters. You learn that things that you get away with when you're fighting lower level fighters, you don't get away with top fighters. So there's just little small things that he would need to pick up on. But Craig's a world level fighter. Probably if we went back to the old days of 15-round fights, the ones that he's lost, he'll probably win because he always comes strong on down the stretch. So, but unfortunately, they're not 15-round fights; they're 12-round fights. So he just needs to pick his game up earlier in the fight.
Kenichi Ogawa then over in Wales next week. Really exciting fight. What have you been working on with Joe to make sure that he gets his IBF super featherweight title round his waist after the fight?
Yeah, well, obviously, like we're saying, he's a top level fighter, Ogawa, and world champion. He's beat top level fighters, and Joe's a top level fighter as well. And it's going to be the little things in the fight, as I was just saying just now with Craig and Buatsi. It's the little things in the fight that can make a lot of difference, and he's got to try and chalk up the early rounds, so it's going to be an hard fight. It's going to be a close fight. They're both very skillful. They both can punch a little bit, so it's going to be, an hard fight.
It got announced within the last month. How long have you guys known? How long have you had to prepare?
We've both had plenty of preparation, probably 10 weeks each preparation. We knew it was going to happen. I think there were just some details that Eddie Hearn had to sort out. But we've known for the last 10 weeks the fight's going to happen.
Stuff. How much of a beneficiary do you think it will be it happening in obviously in Wales where Joe's from?
Yeah, as I was saying to Joe, it's in your backyard. Not every fighter, when they're challenging for a world title, that not every fighter gets that opportunity. So, as I say, he's going to have all the fans behind him, Joe, and they're good fans that he's got down there in Cardiff, and they'll come out and. He's got that, and he's got to take that into the fight as well. But it's going to be an hard fight. It's going to be a difficult fight. There's no doubt about that. And Joe's got to do everything that he can possibly do and put everything he can into this fight to capture this title.
On Conor Benn, it was looking like potentially Jose Carlos Ramirez, but is Keith Thurman now the number one option, or maybe the most likely?
Probably, as I was saying just now, you know, it's just been announced that Ortiz is fighting Avanesian for the final eliminator for the WBC title. Jaron Ennis won the final eliminator for the IBF title last week. So them two are above Conor and Thurman in the rankings. So I would imagine the next rankings it will go Conor Benn 1, Thurman 2, and I would imagine that WBO will probably order a final eliminator between them two. That's what I see happening. So it's just about waiting now and see what's going to happen. But I would say most likely that would probably be his next fight.
That's a really good fight.
It's a great fight, you know, and Conor Benn's ready to move up onto that sort of level of fight. You know, apart from Spence and Crawford, Thurman's probably the next biggest name in the welterweight division.
Yeah, definitely. In other news, obviously Deontay Wilder's back. Just a quick kind of reaction. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's great for the heavyweight division. You know, he's always going to be in exciting fights, and you know, I was just saying like Wilder versus White will be a great comeback fight. You know, they're both going to have a go. So I'd like to see him fight someone like that. Really.
Who would win?
Who knows in the heavyweight division? Whoever connects first, really. I think whoever's fighting Wilder, it's normally always a shootout. So, you know, he's exciting, and you know, people want to see him fight. And we've got some, you know, exciting fighters in the heavyweight division to fight him. So I think the Dillian White fight versus him would be a great fight.
Yeah, definitely. Also in the heavyweight division, obviously there was a video of AJ a couple of days ago leaked on Twitter of him confronting uni students. Wonder what you make of that.
I didn't see it, to be honest. I've never seen it.
So what would you do in that situation? Because they were heckling at him, saying Tyson Fury's better or whatnot, because he trains obviously at Loughborough, and he confronting them saying he'll spin their jaw along those lines, basically those words. What would you do in that situation, Tony?
Who was that?
Just university students talking to AJ, and then he confronted them. He went inside and told them.
Really? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I never seen it. I'll never see it. No.
What would you do though if you were obviously in that situation? Being the obviously former heavyweight champ, you must come up to a lot, and obviously his frustration spilled out.
Yeah, it just depends what state of mind you're in at the time, really. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what was going through his mind at the time. You don't know whether they caught him by surprise. I don't know what they said to him, so who knows? You know what I mean? You don't know until you're in that situation.
Obviously, other news in AJ's career, it looks like he'll be fighting Usyk very soon in Saudi Arabia. Can he do it? Can he make the three-time heavyweight champion this year in July, hopefully July 23rd?
Yeah, he can do it. You know, he's, you know, he has got everything going for him. He's just got to get his tactics right. You know, and if you watch Chisoras against Usyk, if you adopt them tactics, but obviously, you know, in a better way that he done, then you know, a better pressure way, more smarter pressure way, you know, then Joshua can definitely do it.
How did you assess the first fight? Because obviously it was so one-sided.
Yeah, because you know, he obviously stood off him, and I believe that he, you know, the way he boxed, that he would box him at long range and beat him at long range. But with Usyk, you can't stand off of Usyk, and if you stand off him, that's what he'll do to you, because he's the complete, you know, boxing, you know, complete fighter. So, you know, boxing-wise, you got to take that away from him, a bit like Chisora done, pressure him with your size and your power. Back him up onto the ropes and just, you know, punch away at him, really be rough with him, pull him about, use your weight. So, you know, he's got to adopt them sort of tactics to become victorious against him. It's no good standing off of him.
Okay, one more topic, a bit of a random one, but who's your favourite fighter of all time, Tony?
John Ryder.
What's happening with him next?
Well, they're talking about a Billy Joe Saunders fight, so you know, it's just about, I know Billy's back in training now, and he rung Eddie up and asked to fight John Ryder. So Eddie told me that the other day, so it's just about how long it's going to take Billy to get in shape. But as we all know, they had a great first fight, and you know, the second fight will be a great fight as well.
Were you surprised when you got that call about Billy Joe wanting to fight John Ryder?
Yeah, because I thought, like, didn't know whether he'd fight again. But obviously he does want to fight again. You know, he's a fighting man, obviously, and if you're looking for a difficult first opponent after Canelo, I suppose he's looked at John. John's beat Danny Jacobs, and they had a great first fight. It was close, you know, it could have gone either way. So, you know, it's not worth him coming back to fight anyone less than, you know, someone of John's calibre. So, you know, John wants to do the fight. He's always wanted to do the return ever since that first fight. So, you know, I think it'll make for a good fight.
We'll look forward to it, Tony. Thank you very much. Nice.